Hi guys, it's Kelly Harris here from KDS Keltec. This next video I'm going to talk about the LC Power Tools UDOS 51E. New machine on the market, very new. It's been in development for many years. It's got some clever features about it, so what I've had to do is lay out a few other machines to help me explain the concept behind this. Also it helped me explain about some of the pads they have and the handles they have and how to set the settings adjustment, but we won't actually physically plug it in. We're not going to actually use it yet. That will be another future video. So why have LC Power Tools come up with this new design and concept, this new machine, the UDOS 51E, user-defined orbital stroke machine, 5-in-1, 51. It's a replacement basically of 5 machines. So what I've done, I've chosen the 5 different brands of 5 different machines to try and explain this. Any of you detailers out there that have been detailing for a long time, and probably all of you have been an amateur, or let's call you a hobbyist, when you're practicing in the early days, you would have started with an 8mm machine. So it'd be a Porter cable, a Maguire's machine, there were some other Chinese brands, and then many on the market. That was this sort of machine like this here. Now this is a 8mm orbit. So what it is the orbit size, the oscillations, is actually 8mm in stroke. So before I sort of talk about all of them, I'm just going to quickly say there's an 8mm, there's a 12mm, 15mm, 21, and a rotary. And that lets me put the lead down there, explain. R for rotary, this is this machine. We've got S, P1, P2, P3. Now the S, we've actually got down on this machine as a sanding action. What that is the 8mm machine over here. So when we sand paint, you can use 5mm orbit, actually there's a 3mm orbit, but mainly a 5mm orbit. Some people even go to 8mm. So that's why we decided to call this S for sanding. You could actually still polish with that, it's 8mm, but that would be the required setting for sanding. You wouldn't want to choose the other settings, but that's 8mm, so that's that machine. If we line this line up, we can go around to P1. That's now 12mm orbit. So that's going to be a 12mm oscillation. So if I put that down, what we get is this machine with a 12mm orbit, 12mm oscillation. And we can do a demonstration of showing you the different orbits. Then we can go, if I move that around, so it now won't alter, you see, you have to go around, line that line up. We can go around to the P2. What we've now got is a 15mm orbit, which is this. This is a 15. So it's got a larger throw. And I think you're going to get the idea now. We can do the same with a 21. So we go round to we can move that round. I'm going to line it back up, round there. Nice and easy it is. That's now got a much larger throw, which will be the same as this repair machine, which has got a 21mm orbit. So why do we have different orbits? If I was to choose any generic compound and pad, and just doesn't matter what pad this is at the moment, we're just talking about one pad, and I put cutting media on this pad, and then I turn the machine on, it's going to oscillate on the surface, and that's like a rubbing, scrubbing action. So if we have one pad and we put compound on this, and we then use an 8mm machine, we're going to get an 8mm orbit. If we wanted to make this more aggressive, we have really 2 choices. It's pressure, the weight pushed down would give you more cut, or the oscillation size, the orbit. So this 12mm machine would give you more cut. So for many years and for a long time in history, the only orbital sander or DA sander or random orbital sander we had was an 8mm throw. So it was this S on this setting. So it was the S setting there. That was the only machine. All that changed was the ergonomics, the weight, the brand, the plug type, the voltage, but it was always the same. So we stepped up to 12mm and that gave us a larger throw. So it actually gave us more cut for the exact same pad and compound. Then stepped in, Flex and Rupes were some of the first people to start making 15mm orbit, P2. So then, of course, it goes without saying, the orbit gets larger. So for the same time and dwell time, the orbit cutting action is getting more aggressive. So as you step up the sizes, you get more cut for the same pad, which then meant you're more efficient with a 15 and 21 than you was with an 8 and 12. And of course, the last one would be the rotary. The king of polishers that's been around for many, many years. It actually just spins on its axis. So essentially, if we had a pad on there and it was spinning, what we've got, if I put some compound there, that would create like, say, a 30, 40 mil circle. Put some compound there, it's going to create like a 70 mil circle, and so on. So a rotary is very aggressive on the outside because it's creating a very, very large circle. So because what we've actually got is a direct drive, it doesn't slow down, so it's spinning. So this here is really, really aggressive. And progressively, as you go into the pad, the cut gets less and less and less. So you've actually got a variable cut. So DA dual action machines, which is sanding, P1, P2 and P3, they are more uniform. The whole pad is doing 8 mil or 12 mil or 15 mil or 21 mil. When you use a rotary, you've got an uneven cut. That could be to your advantage if you're very, very specialised and you know about polishing. You may have noticed as well on the market there's tons and tons, hundreds and hundreds of pads for all these different machines, because obviously there's different cut level, different compounds. So what LC Power Tools have done, they've recommended 3 pads that they've specifically made and designed and engineered for the UDOS machine. So it seems odd there's only 3 pads when for years and years you had dozens and dozens of choices of pads and different hardnesses and firmnesses and density and open cell and closed cell. So why have they gone down to just 3 pads? Because we've got 5 machines in one, the 5-in-1. And as I just said, if I put this pad, goes back to what I said, on that machine, on an 8 mil, it's going to give me less cut, the least cut, then more, and progressively more and more cut. So I've laid them out in level of cut. So essentially, you've got 5 machines and 3 pads. So if I put that pad on there and adjust the setting, I get more or less cut. So I end up with 15 variables. 15 variables with just 3 pads. So I get 15 variables of cut. And that's before we talk about speed, pressure, and what compound we use. What I have noticed is it feels a little bit heavier than your more familiar regular machines. So let me do a little demonstration. What we're going to have to do, you're going to have to follow me over. I've actually got some weighing scales that we use for when we paint cars, obviously to precisely mix our tints to colour. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this 8 mil machine that will be what we all used to use. It's a similar machine like this, and weigh it. Put this in a little bit of perspective here. So what we've got, I'm going to do it in kilos. So 2.2, 2.4 kilos, or 2,246 grams. So what most commonly people did was they went from an 8 mil machine to a 15 or 21, and this being 21, the Rupes machine. Now everyone went on about how great the machine was, and let me explain what they meant by the machine. So we're 400 grams heavier. No one ever complained about the weight of this machine. Got tape on there because it's got a sharp edge. We've got to replace the end. Everyone went on about how great the machine is simply because it gave a more efficient cut, a quicker cut. You achieve the results quicker, simply because it's a larger orbit. No one actually said it's heavier. It is heavier. It's 400 grams heavier than the machines used to use before. That weight means that pressing down gives you more cut. That could have been an advantage, and people didn't even realise there was an advantage by being heavy. So now we know that's 2,800. Let's take the UDOS over. I will wrap the lead up, so we're measuring the lead as well. It'd only be fair, the cord. Put the whole machine on the scales. So it's 3.6. So yes, it's a little bit heavier. Again, as I said earlier, I had no issues with a machine jumping from a light machine and they got heavier. None at all. I used to use a rotary from Makita years ago that was really, really heavy. It didn't bother me because it helped me press down. It's a small trade-off to have a a 5-in-1 machine that's got a very clever mechanism inside that's very metal, a lot more plastic in these, even the collar here is metal. When there's not a huge jump over what we was using before and we liked, it's just a habit, creature comfort, we've got to get used to change. So another unique thing about the UDOS 51E, it's got different handles. So what we've got is replaceable handles, depending on your style of polishing, how you like to size your hand. But actually, I have quite large hands. So you'd imagine I'd want this big handle, because look, my hand fits that quite nice. And it does. Sometimes though, I might be getting in close somewhere, and it's really, really close under a wing mirror. I quite like a small handle, and then what I can do, I can rotate it on the palm. When I'm pressing down, it's hard to demonstrate when it's not got the handle there, but I'd literally be pressing down and rotating on just like a fingertip. It's quite nice that you've got this universal ability now to change the handles where you're stuck with one handle. And you can see, obviously I've been polishing for a long, long time. I prefer this smaller handle because it's very similar to all the polishers I've used in the past, look. So it's familiarity again. It's just muscle memory, what I'm used to. And then you could say that really and truthfully, this has got a bigger nose on it, it's getting closer to that handle. So let me just quickly show you how to adjust the settings. So what we got these white lines. Now, before, if you look, it won't let you adjust. It won't now move down, I can't alter it. The moment I line the lines up, if I line all the lines up, I can turn the collar. And now, you can hear the motor going, that's connected, but look, it won't adjust now. That concludes really a quick overview of the UDOS. It's a sort of little bit more in depth of this UDOS 51E machine, why it's been made, what is its purpose. It's basically a 5-in-1. You've got those 5 machines there, one machine, does it all now. As always, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and smash that bell. I'm Kelly Harris from KDS Keltec. Goodbye.